Hi there, this is Kirk Spano. It is Thanksgiving week on Monday, just beforehand. And I will tell you, Costco is one of my best friends right now. I bought a membership to Costco a couple of years ago. And I'll tell you, it makes life a lot easier when you shop for more than just two people. But even for just two people, all the stuff based around those little chickens that they make, or the actual little chickens, I don't know. I can't more highly recommend Costco. I know that I was very late in the game on that to become a member. I should have done it when I had kids, but there was no Costco near me, and I didn't want to drive all the way to the Sam's Club either. If you have never been into a Costco, I don't know if they have like a day pass or if you just go with a friend. If you're shopping for more than two people, holy cow, is it great. We went and got all sorts of things to make Thanksgiving pies, and we were supposed to be in charge of the potatoes for a dozen people, but everybody wants different types of potatoes. So you know what we did? We bought 3 trays of potatoes, 2 white and 1 sweet potato, and we're just going to dress them up. One's just going to be fluffy potatoes. The sweet potatoes, we're going to throw a little brown sugar on, and then the other tray of potatoes, we're going to make into twice baked mashed potatoes. Add some things to that, and they'll actually be baked 3 times. So yeah, we'll see how good that turns out. In any case, if you're getting ready for Thanksgiving, tell you what, get your turkey now. I wouldn't wait another day because there is a shortage of big turkeys, especially. Lots of little turkeys, so you might need 2 if you're feeding a lot of people. Somebody says I made a tofurkey, not sure, tofu turkey. Oh, very good. Yeah, I've had turducken, not quite tofu, back in the John Madden days. In any case, just wanted to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving and the Black Friday sales that are coming up. I'm sure Costco has stuff. Amazon's got all sorts of things going right now, and TradingView. So TradingView is what we use for our charting, and I'm actually making all sorts of updates to standardize the service from your feedback and what's easiest for me to get out a high level of content. The problem I've had is that I write everything in prose, and I'm kind of a perfectionist on that, and I lose a lot of hours making things just right. So we're going to use a lot more charts, a lot more bullet points, a lot more easy to get at over the next forever, hopefully. And that starts all this coming weekend because I do finally have the formats parsed out, what I like, what is easy for me to do, and we will go forward from that. As far as TradingView goes, I know that not everybody has it. If you don't, at a minimum, click this link and get the free account so that it's easier for you to read my charts, because my charts often have a link and you can go and see it in a bigger screen, right? If you do any type of charting, any type of screening using technical indicators, or you just want an alert, you'll want a free, you want more than the free service. And I say that because I think that you all should be using and learning and using the basic technical indicators that you see on my charts. You don't have to be real great at drawing. It'll come over time. But the more that you play around with it, the more that you start reading the ideas section with TradingView, the better you'll get at making your investments. So this is what will pop up when you hit the link. And there's almost nobody that needs the premium service. If you're a day trader, right, if you're making a lot of short-term trades, you'll need the premium. But if you're me, I only use the Pro Plus. And the Pro Plus gives me everything that I possibly could use, and then some. The one thing that I use here is that I'll put on my big screen, I'll put multiple charts in different formats so that I can look at multiple things at once. But for only $179, you get 13 months. They're throwing in a free month. And I think that if you really want to learn, you should take a look at this. Let me show you a couple of things that are in here. We've taken a look at the screener over and over again. This screener is worth its weight in gold. One trade. You just make one trade based on the monthly RSI. The monthly RSI screener is just phenomenally powerful because this marks bear market bottoms. The monthly charting, see an M there, it means that the interval that we're charting is the end of the month. So how price changed over a full month. And what we know is that anytime RSI gets under 30 on the monthly time frame, that's generally a bear market bottom or really close to a bear market bottom, if, of course, the company is not going to oblivion. So here's a company right here at the top, Coinbase. We have all the fallout from the FTX collapse. So Coinbase is just getting destroyed. Here's a question you need to ask. Will Coinbase be around in 5 years? I don't really have any doubt in my mind that it will be. I think that their firewalls that they have set up, the fact that they have not been aggressive on lending, they have not been aggressive on any type of interest payment programs. They've been really pretty vanilla as far as the crypto world has gone. So if crypto lives, and it's going to, it'd be 99% of those altcoins are going out of business, are going to zero. I've been telling you that for years. But Bitcoin and Ethereum are here to stay. Chainlink, I think, is probably here to stay as well. And there might be a few others. But so many of the altcoins are going to zero. The stable coins, until they get brought under the control of the FDIC, those are tenuous, and they are going to get brought under FDIC. I'm almost positive of that. They can't call themselves stable coins if they're not, actually stable. And people want to treat those like money markets, so they're going to get money market regulation. Anyway, Coinbase is in bed with BlackRock, and I mean real tight. BlackRock picked Coinbase to provide the trading services for their institutional clients. And what do we know? Institutional clients own between 5 and 10% of all the Bitcoin, and that number's rising. So ask yourself a question: with everything that's going on right now in crypto, why hasn't Bitcoin gone back to like 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000? It's because there's a lot of demand. There's people buying it up at these prices in the teens. Coinbase seems to be very solid financially. Is there some risk there? Yes. Is there more risk than other financial stocks? Probably. But the upside, as one of the last men standing in this segment, right? They're the third biggest crypto brokerage. There's going to be consolidation down the line, the smaller ones, and there's going to be purchases by the existing financial institutions, big banks, big brokerages. They're going to start buying the crypto exchanges, integrating them under SEC regulation, making sure that they're safe. And then there will be an oligopoly in crypto, just like there's an oligopoly in everything else financial. The amount of money it costs you to participate in the financial system used to be about 7 or 8% right off the top. People are like, what? The spreads on the interest rates and the fees that the banking system and the broker system has charged you over the last, hundreds of years have been very, very large. Technology has brought those expenses way down to the point where I'm taking over a 401k plan right now, and I'm saving them somewhere in the range of 60 to 70% in fees, and giving them better investments and the option for me to manage members' money through model portfolios. So essentially global trends portfolios. When you take a look at the financial system, you just have to ask, what is the evolution going to be? And you take a look at Coinbase, because this says, hey, it's oversold. So you should probably take a look at it and determine if it deserves to be this cheap. I don't think Coinbase deserves to be this cheap. I think a lot of these don't deserve to be this cheap. Some of them do. Like, I really like Square, not only for the Bitcoin they own, but mainly because of their interactions with small business that I think is going to do very well over the next 10, 20 years. Look at all the real estate in your neighborhoods that is changing, where all the small businesses were. What's going on with that real estate? It's changing, and people are able to buy some of it cheap. Boomers are retiring from their small businesses. Real estate sits empty. Some younger person comes in and opens a new business, didn't even have to buy the last one, couldn't even do the same type of business as the last guy that was in the space. They're probably going to use Square. And I say probably because I think they have a majority of the business. If not, they're close. But they're going to use Square to build their website, handle their inventory, their emailing. They can get loans, handles payroll. And by the way, you can hook it up to your website too, that they help you build. So, you take a look at these companies. You don't always have to look at every single company that's on your list. Just say, okay, it's oversold. It's time for me to get updated. And that's what I'll be doing with the new format on the stocks of the week. But just to finish up with TradingView, they have heat maps that are really pretty cool, help you know what's going on. Hey, by the way, Disney's up 5% because Bob Iger's back, right? So this is just a phenomenal tool that I think you should be using. Let's pull up one of these charts. So I pull up my more advanced chart. So you know that I track Google. I was looking at some emerging market stuff. And I have my indicators. And I'm actually going to pop this over to the monthly because these are going to be the new charts on the VSL. And I am looking for the long-term trends on Google. There we go. I want to go back to 2014 and I want to see all the way up to 2024. So this is the time frame I'm looking at. Why do I go back to 2014 to 2016? Anybody remember? Right? That is the stealth bear market, right? This is the 2 years where the market basically chopped along, then finally broke out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up kind of the bottom fishing price on Google. And this one, I think in a bull market, right about where we're at now, probably there. I'm not even sure what that is, what this is from. These new lines that I'm going to be putting in here is basically going to be this bull market support. Because people ask me, when should I use which line? It's dark orange, make it easy to see. And this is going to be bear market bottom fishing. So, do you think we're in a bear market? Do you think we're in a bull market? I think it's pretty clear that right now we're in a bear market. So Google could probably get cheaper. And I don't know if these are right where I'm going to keep these lines. I'll take a look. There's other things that I like to look at. But this indicator on the EMA crossover doesn't work so well on the monthly chart because measured in months, you'd have to do 200 months. That's a pretty long time, right? So if you flip this over to, you get these set up in the monthly, you flip it over to the weekly to start figuring out your trades. Now what you start to see is, all right, is the 50 week going to cross over to 200 week? It might. If it does, that means Google's got really big problems. But when you get ready to make your trade, you actually go all the way down to the daily. And you see that there was a negative crossover here. And you see that the Elliott wave was really bad. But now this indicator on the bottom is Elliott wave. It's suddenly getting better. That means in the very short term, Google is bottomed. But you go back to the weekly, which is mainly what we're going to use, you see that it's still pretty negative. So what does that tell you? In the short term, the very short term, over the next several weeks, Google might have a little bit of rally in it before it resumes the bigger downtrend, unless this is in fact the start of the new bull market. I don't think so. I think that this orange line is probably close to what bottom fishing is, and I think that this probably is close to what bull market support would be. And in fact, is trying to hold that area. There's a tug of war between the people who think, hey, we're about to enter a new bull market, and those are like, maybe one more leg down. So you can use these time frames to help tell the story that's out there, or learn the story, or read the story that's out there. Short term versus intermediate term versus extremely long term. Now, the membership that you need to do what I just showed you is only the Pro Plus. You can do some of it, quite a bit of it with the Pro for $70. Get the Pro Plus. There's more indicators, there's more flexibility, they give you more alerts, better screener, things like that. So the Pro Plus, you can do everything that I do. Like I said, if you're short-term trading, and I'm guessing Teresa has a premium, would be my guess. I don't know who else is doing swing trading. But if you're day trading and swing trading, you probably need the premium. And I think almost certainly you do. But if you're doing the type of position trading that I'm doing, the Pro Plus is the way to go. This Pro, there's just several features that I think you'd really want. I don't know if they don't show it on this screen, but anyway, Pro Plus is what I recommend. It's cheap, 13 months, it's half price. So can't go wrong. If you want to learn more about technicals, if you just want to take my word for it, hey, save your $179, just take my word for it. But if you really want to learn technicals, the ideas area in here is actually super cool. If I can find it, they did actually just add a bunch of the crypto stuff somebody asked about, so they have different educational tools. they have all sorts of trade ideas from other people. So we put in say Chevron, which I have to talk about today. Other people give you trading ideas, and they're not all good, but I think they're all educational. And it gives you a way to think about what really is the market thinking. And when you find somebody with a really good track record in here that says something different than what everybody else is saying, pay attention. Doesn't mean they're right, just means that the smartest kid in the room is saying something differently than the other kids. And usually that's worth listening to. I hope I've made that at least a little bit easy to understand over the years. All right, so let's take a look at the new format. And these are some of the articles I got coming. I'm going to do stocks of the week. I'm going to do, this is just an article that I'm writing, Bitcoin, currency, casino, chip, or commodity. Investment strategy. This is going to be a new piece. Investment strategy, and then you just see the topic. This one's semiconductor stocks and an ETF, right? Change of the ETFs. Stock focus, Ford. Stock focus, Microsoft. Super easy. Don't need the big titles. I'll make the fancy titles for the free side where I got to get eyeballs. But you'll just get stock focus Ford, stock focus Microsoft, whatever. It's investment strategy, the two REIT categories that outperform, macro dashes. So everything is just going to have kind of a standardization here. And seeing as I'm getting an office, I'm going to be trapped in it for probably 20 hours a week. I'll probably get a lot more out. So with the standardization, it should work. The stocks of the week article, pretty standard format. Just going back to the charting. You should know the name of the company. If you don't, click on it and find out. And I'm going to put in my thoughts. Why am I talking about Occidental and Chevron this week? Well, one of our members asked about geothermal energy, and I got to doing some reading. So about 10 hours into my reading this weekend, I was pretty convinced geothermal is going to have a big role. And here's another reason why we think about these macro trends and about government policy as part of our 4-step process. What do we know about the Inflation Reduction Act? It was really good for carbon capture. So that's good for the oil and gas companies, right? And it turns out that as the oil wells, especially the deep horizontal ones, run out of oil, and they do after just a few years, right? The fracked oil wells, they don't last very long, right? It's the first 2 years, they get 70% of their oil. By the 5th year, they're almost out. Now they can refract some of these, and they can get another batch of 2 or 3 years worth of oil. Not usually, but some of them. Depends on the geography. Depends on if they're causing earthquakes. The earthquakes, of course, we know that are mainly caused by the disposal wells, not by the actual fracking. So they have to figure out how to dispose of the wastewater and chemicals without causing earthquakes. And sometimes they don't do it right. Ask Oklahoma. But there was just a giant earthquake in the Permian, 5.4 or something. It's pretty big for that region. So another thing that they can use these old wells for, these old horizontal fracks, because they're down 1 mile to 2 miles, is for geothermal energy, for heating and cooling, things like that. And it appears that Chevron, Occidental, and Berkshire Hathaway are all getting into that in a big way. And not that they're just starting up, unbeknownst to me, they're already pretty far into it. So Texas, even after the oil age, is probably going to have a lot of cheap energy. And all the places that have horizontal wells, in particular the horizontal wells, are going to be able to get geothermal energy from these wells as they refit them, I guess would be the right word, to produce geothermal energy. And we're finding that in most parts of the country, you can do it. And it's like anything else, it's just a matter of making it cheap enough. So expect geothermal to have a good growth rate, and it does, just like solar. And I think it's going to take from oil for sure, and gas, but even wind. I think the growth rate on geothermal is going to be a lot higher than I think really anybody is thinking. So thank you to, I won't mention your name, but thank you to the subscriber and consulting client who brought this up to me. And so I looked into it, and I did not realize that it was growing that fast. And I did not realize the big oil companies were getting into it, or were already leaders. So Ormat Technology is going to get added to the VSL. I've known about this company a long time, and it looks like they're about ready to hit an inflection point. And there's a couple of other companies out there that I'm taking a look at, 2 Canadian companies, one in Alberta, one in Toronto. So I have to figure those out yet, but those might be good companies, especially if you're a Canadian and you have some limitations on what you can do. But the format here is going to be pretty standard. Each week, I will find the headlines that pique my interest. This is my cheapest AI called City Falcon. And you know what? I didn't even look to see if there's a discount or Black Friday thing going on here, but I use City Falcon Gold. Let's see. Are they selling anything? Not even sure. My subscription info. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So I get unlimited watch lists, unlimited topics per watch list, and you can search for not only symbol, but ideas. So when you build your watch list, you can say small cap stocks, which I've done in one of my lists. You can say, fourth industrial revolution technology, whatever you want to do. So you can build really cool watch lists, not just built based on symbols, but on keywords, which has made this one pretty cool. They just got big funding from Goldman Sachs or something. So somebody big is involved with this, and it's like, I don't even know, like $150 a year. Here we go. Yeah. So I have the gold plan because, I would at least sign up for the free basic here if you like to keep track of your companies and then build your watch list based on your portfolio. And then, another watch list based on what you're thinking about buying. I just jumped up to the gold plan because, it's almost no extra money. So I would take a look at this. I don't see any sale thing going on. I think it's just cheap right now. Yeah, I don't know. In any case, this is one of the AIs I use. Another AI I use is still get Sentio alerts, and I'm actually talking to Alpha Sense this afternoon. If they give it to me for free or dirt cheap, I'll use that too. But at some point they're starting to just do the same things together. So I have my watch list in here, and they send this to me. This is the one that started at $12,000 a year, came down to $4,000 a year, and now City Falcon is copying them for $200 a year. Talk about cannibalization of margins. So a lot of neat things happening with Amazon. So this is how I keep track of the information. Largely is I have systems in place to give me what I'm looking for. I'm really high on City Falcon. It's so cheap. You go here, say, what do you want to look at? You can make a watch list out of any of this stuff, right? So what do you want to think about? Should we put in 4IR? Let's see what they pop up for that. There you go. And you can rate it by popular or however you want to do it. So interesting stuff here. City Falcon, take a look at it if you want. A really great way of aggregating information, learn how to use the watch list, because you can make your watch list too big and then it kind of loses its impact. You are going to want to click around a little bit so that you are focusing on what you're actually looking for. All right, back to Chevron. Yeah, they're profitable because oil prices are high. Here's the one that jumped out at me. What is the word in this article? What's the keyword in this article? What's the real keyword in this article? Once operational, the plant will produce Marlex polyethylene, which is used in the production of pipes to deliver water. Well, that's interesting. And natural gas, right? So what did I tell you? I don't know, probably years ago, but I said it again recently, is what is private industry after of yours? They're after your water. California just approved another desalination plant. So they've approved 2 this year and turned down 1. And they're smaller, 4 or 5 million gallons of water a day. And they seem to be smaller because that's easier to protect the environment. But the plant that's getting built in California, the one that just got approved, you can find the headline. So I want to use the word plant, I guess. So California wrong. Yeah. Well, whatever. Spelled it right. Search. There you go. Monterey. There you go. Approval of new desalination plants in Orange County. To refresh by time. So I know this just happened. So let's take a look just past week. They're starting to approve desalination in California because they have to. If they don't, they're in big, big trouble. Here's the interesting thing about the second one that's getting built. I think it's American Water Resources. I forget which company it was. The water is going to cost double what it currently costs. Think that through. Do you think it really costs double? Or do you think there's a pretty hefty margin built into that for the company? I'm telling you, the internal strife in the United States in the not too distant future is going to be water based. You better figure out your water situation ahead of time, because the period between when we fix the water situation here, and the federal government's on it a little bit, and California's on it. But that time period between when we really fix water in this country, and it's not hard to do, it just has to be built. And the time that we, are struggling, which is starting to happen right now, wells are going dry in California and other parts of the country. Government's going to step in here. So the reason I don't buy many of these water stocks, these direct water stocks, is because I think that if it's anything utility based, they'll get regulated. Now, go back to that Chevron thing though, and they're actually going to make the pipes. They don't control the system. They're just making the pipes. We're going to need a lot of pipes because there's a lot of rusty pipes and a lot of lead pipes in this country. They all have to be replaced. And there's a smaller company that I'm real interested in that does it as well. And I just use City Falcon and Centio to kind of do the filtering for me. And I find what I need to find. Then I plug it into my stock list. I can find out what the rest of the world is thinking about it just by seeing how much they're buying or selling. Sometimes I can find a discrepancy. The discrepancy with DNA, with Ginkgo Bioworks, is nobody freaking understands it. It is the best time to buy something. Nobody understands it. Has the stigma of having been a SPAC. It's oversold into oblivion, like it's not going to live. And yet it's a cash-rich company that's adding tens of millions of dollars of revenues every quarter, every year. Come down here. Why is Generac on the list? Because it might be a cheaper way to get into energy management than Enphase and SolarEdge, right? You find that gap between the top side of market potential, where they'll end up in the oligopoly, and where they are now, and who has more room to move based on where they are now versus where it's going to be in the future. Enphase and SolarEdge are always expensive. On the rare occasion they get cheap, you buy them. Didn't know that the last time. Yeah, I know that for the next time. All right. The one other thing that I want to throw up here for you today before I go watch the U.S. World Cup is the retirement income options. I'm going to refresh this weekend. So almost there. And if you're looking for options to sell, it's okay to look at a week or two old article. They're not going to change that much because it really should be almost month to month. But I know people want to see this every week. All you have to do is, if prices have come down more, just adjust the strike price or ask for more premium. So with Amazon, it's down into the 90s again. I haven't looked at this today, and I think bottom fishing on Amazon is 70 something. You could lower this to get a lower buy price, or you can leave that there because that'll increase your probability of having it put to you if that's what you want, but just ask for more money on the premium. And I typically look for 10%, so I don't think it would hurt to ask for $8 or $9 or $10. And if there's some morning that opens very volatile, you might get it. It might be close there. Should we look? Let's take a look. Let's do the shortcut. Amazon options. Right? Yahoo is such a good tool for being free. So I keep it as my homepage. Puts Amazon. Come on. I have a fast internet connection too. So here you go. The January puts, right? I changed it, didn't I? January puts. There you go. 85, almost $5. I will probably look to get about $7 or $8 or $9, maybe even 10 on some volatility over the next couple of weeks, because all the people on Bloomberg that I trust are saying that the Fed's going to do 50 basis points and they might do 75 because they know that we're getting close to the end of this inflation, unless Saudi Arabia, flips course again and makes oil expensive again. But I think everybody understands at this point that inflation really is mainly energy and supply chain driven. So if OPEC and China back off on their respective ends of the deal, right? China reopens and OPEC produces another million or two barrels a day with the associated natural gas, inflation comes down. Now, time will fix this as well over the next several years. Time will fix inflation over the next several years. And I'll tell you, by the middle to end of the decade, we'll be talking deflation again as energy gets cheaper, supply chains move, and aging demographics take hold. But anyway, for retirement income options, because that's technically what this show is, if you want Amazon, you just manipulate the strike price and the premium that you're willing to take. So if you really, really want Amazon, you could sell the $90 put for $5 and change now, give you an average price of $85. I think it's going lower than that. I think you can do the $85, just try to get more in premium. Now you could be really cautious and maybe put in a 75, but you probably won't get more than $2 or $3 unless it really dives down there. And if you want to stick with bottom fishing principles, that's fine. If you want to make this part of a scaling in process by having multiple strike prices, that's fine too. And I encourage people to have more smaller bites than big bites. I think that gets you closer to a really good low price on the acquisition. And that's why I use these tools. They help me with that. Like I said, if you want to just read a ton, but I'm basically going to summarize all these articles for you in here, put the most important ones in. So somebody asked, would I add any oil stocks today? Well, I am jonesing to get Permian Resources. I only sold that one put and it only executed in a handful of accounts. I don't think so. If Saudi Arabia really is going to play nice, and it seems like they might, here, let me show you one of the articles. Macro Dashes on Wednesday is this. Suddenly, Saudi Arabia and China play nicer after midterms. Go figure. So how low will the price of oil go? I don't think very low. I really don't see it below the 60s for years and years. Could it get down under $10 a barrel? It could. Will that create angst amongst the traders? It could. And could that cause a leverage decline in some of these stocks? Yeah, it could. Is Permian Resources cheap even at 10? Yeah, it kind of is, based on what we know about it. Well, could we get it at 9 or 8 again? Yeah, probably, because of the madness of crowds, right? There's already some angst out there. So we'll see. And you always have those opposing things, the fundamentals versus the crowd psychology. I buy a lot of things just because they're cheap and I don't care about the crowd. But then the crowd makes it cheaper even more. And you're like, well, man, they're just really wrong. So you have to buy more. And then you kick yourself for saying, I should have just waited for these idiots to push it down further. That's what the technicals are for, right? That's what the technicals are for. Somebody asks, are there SPR refill buys today? I don't think so. Did you see a headline about SPR buys today? I didn't. I mean, that doesn't mean it's not happening. Let's go to our trusty little City Falcon. Like how they asked for there we go. Just reset to make it chronological. So the White House is asking for money to modernize the oil reserve. I haven't read that yet. Yeah, I don't know. Look at that. Sold bank stocks again. Yeah. I don't think there's necessarily going to be SPR buys until it really gets into the 60s, right? Because the government will twiddle its thumbs as it gets down there, see how low it's going to go before they support that market. You know, they'll make a call to everybody. So Chevron, Exxon, what do you want? What do you think about this? Hey, Prince MBS, what do you think about this? Right? To my knowledge, there's no SPR buys going on right now. And I do think the oil stocks come down a little bit more, but I think for those best ones, those ones that I'm willing to sell my soul for a little bit, I think you'll probably get a crack at it. I'm sure I'll have an updated option update on Permian Resources. January. I mean, you could sell the 10 for $1. That's your 10%. Then you get an average price of 9. Plus, I think a higher likelihood of getting it put to you. I don't think that's a horrible idea. You know, so take a look at the chart. What does the chart say? So this is a good look. Elliott Wave is on the upside. It's not overbought anymore on RSI. So this comes down a little bit. And he gets in here, right? Because you can see that it's been in this area. Gets down in here, and I would consider this being a bull market. Gets down in here pretty juicy. So I think you need to see a correction right in here somewhere. Yeah. It'll go under 10. I don't know if it'll go under 9. But this is about to have what's called one of those golden crossovers. And I'm sure it's already happened on the daily. Yeah. Already had the bullish crossover, you know, back when I first told you about this. And I do look for these. So if I talk about something, you know, I've seen something if I talk about it to make me talk about it. You can't always be talking about stuff that's 2 years out, right? 10 years out. So this had the bullish crossover, and it's about to have a bullish crossover on a longer term time frame. So I think that's super bullish. I really do think this is going way to new highs. Their rock, their land is just so cheap comparatively speaking to everybody else's. And even if they don't get into geothermal down the road, they just sell it to somebody else. Sure, there's a Chevron, an Exxon, or a Berkshire that'll buy them at some point. All right, everybody, go watch the U.S. play in the World Cup. I don't care if you don't like soccer, do it anyway. It's your patriotic duty. All right, have a great rest of the day.